Okay, France versus Ireland at the Women's Rugby World Cup. The quarter-final between these two nations has just finished. France have beaten Ireland 18 points to 13, and they've come from 13 points down at half time because Ireland dominated that first half. They played the conditions better, they had better intensity, better accuracy, better discipline because France had two players in the sin bin in the first half. The try that's disallowed, ironically, would have won Ireland the game. Ironically. Now, yes, it's been disallowed for the right reasons, there is a knock on. But here's something that World Rugby need to fix. One, how many phases can you go back to say that's got to be? How many phases can you go back? Secondly, why allow the try to be given if you know there's a knock on in there, because the TMO's seen it, and then allow the conversion to be taken? And then the players go back to halfway, because this is not the first time this has happened in this World Cup. I think this is an area World Rugby need to clear up as well. Because back in the day, and this is what I was taught, always take that conversion before the referee can change their decision. The points will stand. And that was actually in the letter of the law of the game. World Rugby changed that. And what they were doing for a while was stopping conversions being taken while they looked at replays. If there was something a bit uncertain, knock on, offside, foul play, whatever it may be. But how many phases back can you go? And the players were all back at halfway. And that was really early on in the game. Monaghan, that was France were all over the place in that first half, and Ireland were basically camped in their 22 for the majority of the first half, and huge portions in the second half. Now, Dugong would get the try from resulting phases a few minutes later. Then Bernadou gets her sin bin for her high tackle, where she knocks herself out, ironically, with a head-on-head. And yeah, Ireland take advantage of that. Flood scores a try in 24 minutes, and O'Brien gets a penalty on 38 minutes. Now, the missed conversions, I think, have proven crucial for Ireland. Ironically, the Monaghan try that's disallowed, they get a conversion. Filou, the starting of the two Filou sisters, the captain's yellow carded for collapsing them all, and then that's on rotten stroke at half-time, and Ireland had a good 6 minutes bashing away at that French defence before they just get frustrated and have no patience. But they're 13-0 up at half-time in testing conditions. Now, Bourgeois scores a penalty on 48 minutes after half-time. But apart from that, France were poor until the more yellow card for a high tackle. Now, both high tackle yellow cards remain yellows. There's no 20-minute reds in this game. But that more high tackle, we've seen reds given in this tournament for similar actions in the pool stage. There is a lack of consistency in this area. And as soon as that yellow card happens, and it remained a yellow, the momentum swung completely. Scudero scores a try, Grise scores a try, Bourgeois slots a penalty, and the game turns in that last 20 minutes. But Ireland had opportunities in that last 20 minutes to get points, to seal the game out, and their execution lets them down. They get sloppy, they panic. And Chambon with the yellow card for the deliberate knock-on with a minute remaining. They had an advantage in that first half with the forward pack, with the driving maul, with scrums, and they fluff it because they're getting desperate. Now, questions will be asked of Ireland, absolutely, but also questions need to be asked of the French for that first 60 minutes because they were just disinterested. They had no intensity in defence. They had really poor discipline throughout the game. Absolutely, their discipline in this match was shocking. And people will say, well, they had an easier pool than the other nations. They didn't have a testing match. Italy should have tested them more, and Italy didn't show up in that game, in the opening head-to-heads. And France go into the semi-final against England or Scotland. Most likely England, but against whoever wins out of England and Scotland. Not playing well. They were lucky that Ireland imploded in the second half. Their discipline's got to be a lot better. Absolutely, their discipline has to massively improve. Ireland, look, it's been 8 years since they've been at this stage. The rebuild job has been fantastic in that time. There's still a long way to go. They've got a lot of young players in this Ireland setup, yes, but their game management in those conditions was poor. The execution went on top. They had so many entries into the 22, far more than the French. The French got more points out of their 22 entries, which is an area you look at when you look at advanced stats. They dominated the possession and territory. and only came away with 13 points. And then, whilst in the lead, they implode. They didn't manage the game well. They didn't manage the second half conditions, which were changeable, but they managed the conditions brilliantly in the first half. With or without the wind is irrelevant because the wind was swirling at times. They did manage the conditions better, and then they stopped playing. They stopped doing the basics. And as soon as that yellow card occurs, changes the game. Even though the French had 3 yellows in that game, they did not take advantage of the French ill discipline as well as they should have. I think that's fair. I think that is exceptionally fair. They did not take advantage of the French ill discipline. They really didn't. But France make it through. Whoever France face in that semi-final, England or Scotland, no, England are favoured. Scotland could upset England. We don't know. Anything's possible. Anything can happen. They've got to play a lot better. They've got to play with better intensity and much better discipline. Much better discipline, because that will be curtains. If their discipline goes, be curtains. Absolute curtains. They've got to be better around the breakdown. The scrum. Surprisingly, the French were getting beaten up at scrum time. Defending rolling mauls. Line out. A lot of areas the French need to be better. But discipline is crucial, and intensity around tackle, ruck, maul. They need to be a lot better. Ireland, the inquest will occur, but Ireland, when it comes to Rugby Union World Cups, both men and women, seem to stop at the quarter-final stage. They implode, and they've imploded again. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts on the game in the comment section below. I do think, though, World Rugby needs to fix how they disallow tries and how many phases back they got to go, because that's a criticism I have out of this tournament. Not just this game. We've seen it in many previous games as well, where a try's been scored, then the referee gives it, conversion's taken, they go back halfway, and suddenly the TMO goes, you might want to disallow that. Whereas in years past, if the referee still gave it, the TMO could go, hang on a second, we might have seen something that may overrule this. I think World Rugby have got that wrong, absolutely. But because if that try stands, ironically, Ireland would have won. But ultimately, there was I believe, a penalty anyway that was given away, or a scrum, or whatever it was. That meant play would restart right down, roughly in the area the try was scored, and then Ireland do ultimately, a few phases later, score from it. Ironically, if that try and conversion stand, Ireland win the game by 2 points. But that's, again, hypothetical. They may not have scored that second or third, that second try. They might not have scored any more points after that. That's a hypothetical. But you can see France's ill-discipline, Ireland can't capitalise. Irish ill-discipline, the French capitalise, and they find a second win. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll have some more content for you all very, very soon.